Technically, you know,
so it's on the same turn at least.
Beat, but
we'll count
let's go into our first top cut match here at the Indianapolis Regional Championships. Top 16 between Nathaniel Sitler and Nick Navarre. We got the head nods already as we see the mirror of the Floettes and the Incineroars staring each other down.
Notably, the Incineroar for Nathaniel was faster than Nick's with that Intimidate activation. Could still potentially be a speed tie between the two of them, but Nathaniel knows at least there's at worst, a 50-50 shot. His Incineroar's fake out will go first on this first turn.
That means you can realistically stop the opposing Incineroar if you wanted to, or try to stop the opposing Floette. But if you fake out the Incineroar, then like you're guaranteeing a Calm Mind on both sides.
Yeah.
You know?
The Floette speed interaction might be a little bit more important than the Incineroars. Of course, the faster fake out can be useful, or the slower pivot can be useful. But once you get set up, once those Calm Minds are going, the faster attack from Floette will often be the one that comes out on top.
There's also another option here. You could go for Parting Shot, or if you are Nathaniel's Incineroar, you could go for Taunt.
Yeah.
So you could try to taunt Nick's Floette. As we do see, that is going to be the first one to Mega Evolve, as Nathaniel's goes second. So again, we got to kind of pay attention to how these Floettes are interacting with each other. But there's a Calm Mind on the table to stop this Floette from going for more taunt. Taunt, Calm Mind, you get the drift. Fake out first anyway, so what did I mean?
All right, another Calm Mind coming out here from Nick's Floette first. So that's 2 times this Floette has moved before Nathaniel's, building up some evidence that Nick's might be a little bit faster. And we just see, we saw Nick's Incineroar flinch before the 2 Floettes, so it's pretty reasonable to assume that they both went for a fake out plus Calm Mind.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And now they're staring each other down again. It's like, well, you both have boosts, so now, you know, now what do these Incineroar do?
Yeah, of course, the 2 Incineroar, the call out of Taunt is really great there. If Nathaniel's Incineroar truly is faster than Nick's, you can even taunt the Incineroar to prevent a Parting Shot, which could be really useful.
It's just going to be offense, as it's going to be the Floette to move first from Nathaniel this time around. Looks like they are going to be speed tied, as Nick's Floette goes for another Calm Mind. If the taunt comes out now, it feels like it's too little too late, as you've already given over 2 boosts. The taunt instead goes over to the Incineroar, so it's going to be the Sneasler that falls for that taunt, meaning that this Sneasler on the next turn cannot go for Protect.
I don't think you necessarily want to Protect anyway on this turn. Close Combat and Dire Claw are both very tempting here. Get some big damage into either of Nathaniel's Pokemon. Of course, Fake Out, always very useful as well, making sure that, for example, the Floette can't get another Dazzling Gleam off, can't go for another Calm Mind. Create some room for your own Floette to either get another set up Calm Mind here or start dishing out some damage. Both of these Floette are carrying Draining Kiss, so this damage that Nick's Floette took from that Dazzling Gleam will very likely just be healed right off by a Draining Kiss later on.
Yeah, I think too, when you know that this Incineroar can't protect, but the Floette can, I feel like it's always kind of safe to try to go for that damage into the Incineroar, and that's exactly what we see. Close Combat will one-hit knock out Incineroar, and will kind of have to force out another Pokemon here, as now we'll see what these Floettes do. It's going to be the Dazzling Gleam first, single target at +2 from that Calm Mind into the opposing Floette, as the Dazzling Gleam fires back, and that's actually just a crit onto the opposing Floette! A double KO!
Huge break for Nathaniel there. His Floette was getting a little bit low after that Dazzling Gleam, and that would have been a great opening for Nick to try and bring something in to get that speed advantage on his Floette, to maybe start building up another Calm Mind or 2. But unfortunately, that critical hit breaks through the special defense boost, and now Nathaniel has traded his Incineroar for just the Floette and the Sneasler.
I mean, that's a trade you take any day of the week here.
Absolutely.
And Nick has no choice except to bring back out that Incineroar, and it's going to be a reveal of the Talonflame as the final Pokemon. Now, the Intimidate is nice because you are going to land an attack drop onto this Garchomp, but now what? How does this Talonflame or this Incineroar break through the Garchomp with attacks?
It's going to be really tough. Garchomp will resist the Flare Blitz from the Incineroar. You do have the dual Wing Beat and the Throat Chop on the Incineroar, both good options for getting a little bit of damage into Garchomp. And of course, the Talonflame's Will-O-Wisp might be able to slow down this Garchomp too. But if you're targeting Garchomp with these attacks, you're still leaving this Floette open. It's not the most healthy, but it is still relatively healthy, and especially if you can get a Draining Kiss off into this Incineroar, it might become difficult to take down on its own. Not to mention, Nathaniel still has the 4th Pokemon.
That's the hard part is, well, you kind of imagine that maybe it's not going to be the Gyarados because you did Mega Evolve Oh, but it's just going to be the dual wing beat into the Garchomp. I was going to say, no fake out actually coming out from this Incineroar. So maybe it is going to be the throat chop to try to take out this Garchomp right here and now. But that's going to leave this Talonflame vulnerable to the Rock Slide. That's extremely effective, 4 times super effective, in fact, into that Talonflame. And now this Incineroar is all by itself. I feel a fear that one Moonblast or even a Draining Kiss here is also going to do quite a bit.
And does a lot of damage. It's going to heal it up almost to full HP there, too. This Incineroar will get the chance to attack, but I fear for Nick that it's just going to be too little too late. It actually won't get the chance to attack with that Rock Slide flinch.
That's unfortunate.
Really is unfortunate there for Nick. That critical hit on his Floette really set him back, and I think especially at the point the game was already, if Nick's Floette stuck around and was able to get a Draining Kiss off, that was a very close game that we were about to experience. Just the Dazzling Gleam critical hit, taking out both of Nick's Pokemon, just took away too many of his resources to come back in that game.
Yeah, I feel like otherwise, you know, that was a close combat KO onto the Incineroar. You know that there's a Garchomp lurking in the back. +2 Dazzling Gleam is almost certainly plenty to knock out that Garchomp.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I think it's like you only need +1 based on the bulk, but yeah, that crit absolutely sealed it.
But there's also the Rosalie Berry Garchomp, so it might be able to take something like that +1 Dazzling Gleam with the reduction in damage for those spread attacks. But even then, that's just like your best option into Garchomp. If you get the Dazzling Gleam off, maybe Dual Wing Beat's enough to knock it out. Maybe a Throat Chop's enough to knock it out after that. And of course, you just want your Mega Pokemon around, right? You want your Mega Pokemon with a boost. You've spent this time, getting that Calm Mind set up, and then you're trying to build your team around, attacking with it. Notably, the other 2 setup Pokemon available to Nick, the King Gambit and the Palafin, did not make an appearance in that game. So the Pokemon that Nick brought was really just centered around setting up that Floette, and losing it to that critical hit kind of destroyed his game plan.
I will say the King Gambit would have been, I think it could be nice if you are expecting something like the Incineroar or the Gyarados to come out. But since the King Gambit also only has Dark-type attacks, it doesn't have the greatest matchup into the opposing Floette. It feels like it's only going to be food for like the Sneasler. Even the Floette being able to do neutral damage to it just feels kind of bad when you can't strike back.
Looking at the Palafin too, if Gyarados does come, Palafin has a really hard time into Gyarados, also has a really hard time into Sinistra. I think the 4 Pokemon Nick brought make a lot of sense given Nathaniel's team. Just unfortunate that that's how the mid-game played out there.
Yeah, so maybe this time around you just gotta hope that you don't get crit by Dazzling Gleam, and maybe you just try to run back the same strategy, because otherwise, if the crit doesn't happen, it does look pretty good. Sneasler's going to hit the field though in the front for Nick, and it's going to be able to find the Garchomp and the Sneasler on the other side, so no Floette right off the bat.
Big switch up from both trainers. I like the Sneasler adjustment from Nick, knowing that your Incineroar is slower, you're going to get the slower fake out. You bring in your faster fake out user. Unfortunately, Nathaniel also did the same thing, and this Garchomp for Nathaniel also very well positioned. That Rosalie Berry will certainly protect it from being knocked out by the Floette on this coming turn. And it doesn't have Protect, but you don't really need it because you're not going to get knocked out. And if, again, you're like doubling the Garchomp here, you just Dire Claw the Floette potentially.
There are stat alignments that are available information to both opponents. Nathaniel Sneasler is Adamant, whereas Nyx actually does have Jolly, so you're going to have a positive speed nature. So it's probably safe to assume your Sneasler is faster if you wanted to try to get the faster fake out. But Sneasler doesn't want to stick around for that anyway. Decides there are 2 physical attackers on the field. We're going to get the Intimidate drop onto both of those, and probably, Mega Evolve and Protect.
The rare Sneasler not holding White Herb just happens to be 2 of them in the same game, so this Intimidate will be very valuable for Nick here. Both the Garchomp and the Sneasler down to -1. There could be 2 poison attacks coming that Floette's way, but no, it's a coaching instead. Garchomp now back to neutral attack and +1 defense.
I was going to say that's so risky, but now it's going to be the poison jab into the Floette. And so you've already dealt a significant amount of damage. Floette just goes for the Dazzling Gleam here, so it knows that it has to fight through this Rosalie Berry, which will reduce the damage from this first Dazzling Gleam, but a second one will definitely pick it off. Could you imagine, though, without that Intimidate drop, that Garchomp was meaning business.
I love that play from Nathaniel there. Going for the coaching means that even if you get faked out on the Sneasler, your Garchomp still gets a full-powered poison jab off into this Floette. If you fake out the Garchomp, you're still getting that defense and attack boost. If the Incineroar swaps in there, you're mitigating that Intimidate right away. And now this Garchomp is still very heavily threatening to Nick's Floette. Of course, the fake out option from the Incineroar is there, and the Garchomp does not have Protect. But if you're trying to fake out the Garchomp, you're not going to knock it out with Floette, because Sneasler is still threatening a big Dire Claw into Floette here.
Yeah, you don't have a choice except to protect because you know that you are going to get knocked out by either of these Pokemon. As Sneasler is going to find the avenue to go for the close combat. Intimidate Drop helping a lot to make sure that this Incineroar does not fall in one hit. And this Incineroar also has that Citrus Berry to help shore up some of this extra damage. As Garchomp goes for the Rock Slide, it maybe connects into the Incineroar here, okay. And now this Incineroar has got to fight through this battle. It got flinched in the last game, and it's not going to get flinched this time. Parting Shot does land into the Garchomp and help to reduce the attack boost that it got from the Sneasler.
Successfully gets that Parting Shot off. That's a big deal for Nick there. He's able to now bring in either that Sneasler to get another fake out, or we see that Talonflame for some very useful speed control. Notably, this Sneasler on Nathaniel's end is unburdened, but because the Focus Sash wasn't consumed, the unburdened did not activate. It does not have that speed boost. Now we have a priority Tailwind from Talonflame, and one Dazzling Gleam should knock out both of Nathaniel's Pokemon.
Yeah, it's going to be a retreat of the Sneasler as Incineroar comes out to take its place. Intimidate Drop only going to matter onto this Talonflame, but it's an easy Tailwind and Dazzling Gleam here to get the knockout onto this Garchomp and also secure a good amount of damage to this Incineroar. That should be a nice, easy cleanup on the next turn by a double attack.
Great turn for Nick there. There was really nothing Nathaniel could have done to protect that Garchomp or Sneasler other than swap them out. Neither of them have Protect, I believe. The Sneasler dropped it for Coaching and Garchomp dropped it for Poison Jab. So a very vulnerable position for both of them. You don't really want to swap both out because I don't think you want your Floette taking that Fairy Aura boosted Dazzling Gleam before it's Mega Evolved. So you had to sacrifice one of them. I think Garchomp was probably the smarter choice there.
Yeah, you have this Incineroar now to be able to threaten something like Fake Out. You could try to Fake Out and break the Gale Wings on the Talonflame, or you could Fake Out the opposing Floette and probably guarantee a knockout with your own. Since I don't think that Talonflame is going to be able to get you out of here in two hits, I suppose, with a dual wing.
You also have the option to swap in one of your other Pokemon if you're Nick, right? The Intimidate could be useful on the Incineroar, preserve an option for Fake Out on the following turn, but no swaps. We're just going to see the Mega Evolution from Nathaniel Floette.
Yeah, so Nathaniel has a couple of options here. You either want to go for a Calm Mind if you're kind of expecting that these Pokemon would protect, but Incineroar doesn't actually try to go for a Fake Out here. And even if it did, you have the dual Wing Beat to go through. Dazzling Gleam comes out first from Nick's Floette, does not get the KO onto the opposing Incineroar. Wow! The opposing Floette doesn't get the KO either on its counterpart.
That's huge. That's a clutch survival from both of those Pokemon. The Incineroar sticks around to get this Parting Shot off into Talonflame. And of course, the Floette sticks around to threaten more damage throughout the remainder of this game. The Sneasler will come in and does threaten a KO with Fake Out. Not even just a flinch, just a knockout into that 5 HP Floette. But luckily for Nick, the Floette does have the option to either swap out or protect itself from taking any more damage. And the Talonflame, now at -1 attack, isn't necessarily going to be dealing the most damage, but the Sneasler being weak to flying and still being slower than this Talonflame, even though the Gale Wings is no longer active, can't really Fake Out the Floette unless it wants to leave itself vulnerable to this dual Wing Beat.
Yeah, there should be a way to get a KO on this one turn, but oh wow, Nick's actually just going to let this Floette go down with the Fake Out. You're at least going to guarantee that this Talonflame, if it can connect with the dual Wing Beat, and it does, get the knockout onto the opposing Sneasler, and like that, we are going to be getting, I think, maybe an even of the Pokemon count. I wonder if this Floette, okay, because I would say maybe this single target Dazzling Gleam actually does pick off the Talonflame, but it's a Calm Mind instead.
I think this is still a very good position for Nick to be in here. Nathaniel's Incineroar is very low. The Floette has taken enough damage that a Dire Claw should be able to finish it off. If you're able to knock out the Incineroar on Nathaniel's side of the field before your own Sneasler comes back in, I think Dire Claw should just clean it up for you. It's just a matter of getting that one last KO on Incineroar. I believe there's still one final turn of Tailwind, so your own Incineroar should get the faster Fake Out now, and that probably is the route that Nick goes here, just to make sure that you're wrapping up this game very neatly.
Yeah, it's still tough though, because you do have the Floette with +1 special attack. So maybe you Fake Out the opposing Incineroar, you guarantee the knockout.
Yeah.
Dual Wing Beat from the Talonflame to just get guaranteed damage, and then for sure you know your Sneasler can do the job.
Yeah, I think as long as you get the knockout on Incineroar here and the Floette doesn't heal all the way up to full with Draining Kiss, which I don't think is possible on this turn, Sneasler should be able to wrap up this game with a Dire Claw.
Well, let's find out, shall we?
Let's do it.
Dual Wing Beat goes first here from the Talonflame. Look at that. That's actually so sad.
I know.
Wow.
It's -2 now, I think.
That's true. Yeah, all the Intimidate drops, but the Draining Kiss here actually doesn't even knock out the Talonflame, so even better here, I think, for Nick to be able to go for Parting Shot, get Sneasler in. Tailwind is also expired, but Talonflame, naturally faster, could set it back up.
I think that's probably preferable for Nathaniel to not have knocked out the Talonflame here. You want to have your Floette on the field in front of Sneasler with as much HP as possible, and if you can keep getting those Draining Kisses off until you bring the Sneasler back in, that might be your best option here. The Flare Blitz coming out in Tailwind does a lot of damage to that Floette, will also do a lot of damage to itself, denies some Draining Kiss recovery if that's what Nathaniel goes for, but just a Dazzling Gleam to take 2 knockouts.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
It's right in front of you, so why not?
I think it would have been very difficult to get Floette into a position where it could have taken the Dire Claw, so maybe you try and catch the Incineroar going for that Parting Shot in Tailwind into Sneasler or something, but now I think Sneasler is more than capable of finishing this game off.
Yeah.
And it's got the Focus Sash still, too.
Yeah, it's going to take 2 hits to be able to do that, but Dire Claw should seal it up, and we get to go to a Game 3.
Exciting.
Very exciting.
First Game 3 in the Pokemon Champions Top Cut.
I'm just waiting for the animation to come through as Dire Claw finishes off the Mega Floette, and let's think about the Game 3. Oh, and a crit just for, you know, a treat.
Return the favor. Great turnaround from Nick in that game. This is probably about how he wanted that first game to go. Even though he didn't get the Calm Mind up on his own Floette, I believe, it was still able to pump out a lot of damage. He was able to catch Nathaniel's switches very, very well, and most importantly, position his Floette such that it didn't even need that Calm Mind boost when restoring knockouts on the Sneasler and Garchomp early on.
It's the tough thing about Floette, finding the timing where it's better to just push the aggression button, or do you need those Calm Mind boosts? Maybe it gives you a better matchup to deal with the opposing Floette, for example. But also just the critical survivals of both of those Floette was so exciting on that one turn. It
was. That made it a little bit more interesting, but I think the ground that Nick had made earlier on in that game made the end game a lot simpler for him to win than if Nathaniel was in that position. Just because you have the speed control with Tailwind, you're now making sure your Pokemon are faster and you have the Pokemon advantage, especially once the 2 Incineroars came back in and you had them staring each other down. Nick's Incineroar with the Tailwind boost, able to get the knockout with Fake Out. That's 2 Fake Out knockouts in the same game, actually. It's pretty funny.
Look, Fake Out is just the, you know, I was gonna say the underhanded threat, but that's not really what I meant. It's the sneaky threat.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it. Well,
fake out for knockout.
Well, let's get back into it, shall we? Game number 3 between Nathaniel Sitler and Nick Navarre. Only one of them can move forward through the top cut into our top 8. So who will it be? For Nick, he's going to lean on the trusty partners of the Sneasler and the Floette. But on the other side of things, we're going to see this Mega Gyarados make an appearance.
I'm very curious as to whether or not Nathaniel still has that Floette, or if he's opting to go for a Mega Gyarados angle here. Mega Gyarados does have some pretty good matchups, but Sneasler and Floette are not 2 of them. The dark typing then making it weak to both Fairy and Fighting. So if the Gyarados does want to, be the main damage dealer here, you have to make sure you're Mega Evolving after you can take those knockouts on either Floette or Sneasler, else you're opening yourself up to getting hit by those super effective attacks.
And as a reminder, Nick Sneasler is Jolly, so it is likely faster than the opposing Sneasler for Nathaniel. You can guarantee a faster fake out here, and at least deny something like a coaching if you think that's going to come through. Or maybe you're confident that your Floette is going to handle an opposing Dire Claw. But when it's adamant, I would not want to take that risk. So Nick decides to play it safe, fakes out the opposing Sneasler, and we will be able to see both this Floette and this Gyarados get to do something on this turn. Dazzling Gleam is going to chunk down both of these Pokemon pretty significantly as Gyarados uses this opportunity to weave in a Dragon Dance, increasing its attack and speed for the next turn.
Notably should outspeed everything else on the field, with neither of these Sneaslers having a speed boost from Unburden. Gyarados will be the fastest thing on the field, but is carrying the attacks Waterfall and Lash Out, so there's no Earthquake, there's no potential for that spread damage. You only have to pick one target. And with Nick presumably having that Incineroar in the back, could be a pretty good way to mitigate that damage, especially with Lash Out is something that can punish Intimidates. If you lose a stat, or if one of your stats gets dropped on the turn you use Lash Out, its base power doubles, but it is a dark type attack, so you're going to be resisted by the Floette and the Incineroar that could swap in, and the Sneasler currently on the field, so not necessarily the hugest threat.
Well, one of these Sneaslers is going to disappear as Garchomp comes back in.
Ooh.
I feel like it's still super safe to... Oh, actually, we're going to see the Gyarados go first here. Waterfall into the Floette. Not enough to be able to deal the finishing blow. We see the Dire Claw go into the Garchomp. I was actually going to wonder if we saw close combat there, just in case there was some type of switch, but you're going to see the Rough Skin actually break the Focus Sash as the Dazzling Gleam comes out, and not going to pick up the Gyarados, and that Roselli Berry really helping out for the Garchomp too.
Very smart to not Mega Evolve that Gyarados again from Nathaniel. That super effective Dazzling Gleam would have been enough damage. And good call out on the Dire Claw, actually breaking Sneasler's own Focus Sash due to that Rough Skin. That Waterfall did a lot of damage to Floette. That's a +1 Waterfall. It might be enough to pick up a knockout on Sneasler this turn as well, because again, there's no Unburden on Nick Sneasler at all. Floette also now being pretty heavily threatened by either an Earthquake from this Garchomp or a Poison Jab.
This Gyarados was also faster than the Sneasler, so I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just like an easy KO into either of these Pokemon.
Yeah, what do you do? Do you have to bring in your Incineroar potentially, get yourself some Fake Out, get yourself some Intimidate onto these two physical attackers? But if you do that, like Incineroar swapping in on a Waterfall could be pretty devastating too.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be enough for a single, like for a one-hit knockout, right? But we're gonna see the Gyarados protect. It also doesn't want to mess around. The Floette is also like, I don't know about this one. And so now that's going to guarantee that this Sneasler is the fastest Pokemon on the field. Close combat, plenty to pick up this Garchomp from how much HP that it had left. And so Sneasler's still around to fight for another day.
But now Nathaniel has the option to bring his own Sneasler back in, threaten another Fake Out, even bring in his own Floette. Both the Sneasler and the Floette on Nick's side of the field are being threatened with a knockout here because that close combat's defense drops were not mitigated by a White Herb on that Sneasler. Now certainly is in Waterfall KO range from this Gyarados. So Nick now has to decide, am I okay giving up one or both of my Pokemon? If Nick's Floette loses a possible speed tie and Nathaniel's Gyarados knocks out Sneasler, you could just lose two Pokemon here for no gain.
Yeah, the speed tie is the thing that I feel like really does throw a wrench in the works. Is this Gyarados, it can guarantee damage now, but then what? Because which Floette moves first, essentially.
I think as long as the Gyarados is able to knock out Sneasler, you're probably fine losing the speed tie with Floette if you're Nathaniel. But not going to happen this time. We do get the Incineroar finally swapping in, hoping to get a very valuable Intimidate onto this Gyarados.
Yeah, that might help to make this survival just a little bit better because, you know, as a reminder, this Floette has only taken damage so far from a +1 Waterfall from the Gyarados. And so bare minimum, you're able to get the drop there. But oh, the double protect is actually going to fail. So maybe doesn't get to get through this turn regardless. Incineroar is going to be the one to take the Waterfall. But now it's in such a range where this Floette might be able to do some big work to it. As the Dazzling Gleam comes out, Floette gets knocked out for Nick, and Incineroar very close behind it.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a win for Nathaniel here. This Gyarados putting in a lot of work with just that one Dragon Dance. We don't need 3 Dragon Dances like a Tyranitar might. Just the one on this Gyarados is enough to do the job. Oh, actually, I thought Nick had... No, I thought Sneasler was Nick's last Pokemon. Not over just yet. We do still have the priority Tailwind and Dual Wing Beat from this Talonflame. Apologies, I thought Nick had lost 2 Pokemon there instead of just the one.
No, it's tough because when you think about how many red Pokemon are on the field.
That's it, too much red.
I'm just teasing. So the Incineroar freshly switches in, still can go for a Fake Out here that might be able to stop the Gyarados for 1 turn. You could also realistically go for a Tailwind here from the Talonflame and give your Sneasler the edge when it comes back in.
I think you almost have to go for the Dual Wing Beat here with Gyarados. The +1 speed Gyarados, I think, probably still outspeeds
yeah, so maybe you fake out the Floette.
You could fake out the Floette and try and knock out the Gyarados. If Gyarados swaps out, you're getting the Dual Wing Beat off into Sneasler, which is also very valuable for you here.
Well, you're gonna see the Sneasler come in and the Gyarados protect. So let's see where Nick actually decided to dish out the damage. Incineroar goes for the Fake Out into the Sneasler to bring it down super low, as Talonflame did try to go for the Dual Wing Beat into the Gyarados.
This Talonflame, luckily for Nick, does carry Protect, so it will be able to prevent a combination of Fake Out and Waterfall into it on this turn. And now the Sneasler and Gyarados are quite low on HP. Neither of them want to take that dual Wing Beat, especially if Nathaniel doesn't have the capability of preventing that dual Wing Beat on the following turn. You have to wonder if Nick might be able to come back into this game. Either dual Wing Beat or something like Tailwind could set up that Sneasler in the back to try and close out this game.
Yeah, Talonflame protecting itself here to make sure that it doesn't get its Gale Wings broken, and then we'll see this Gyarados finish that up with a Waterfall into the Incineroar. So now we do have Nick down to his final 2 Pokemon. That Sneasler coming back in has that Fake Out, is faster than the opposing Sneasler for sure, but can it actually help mitigate this Gyarados? I
wonder if Nathaniel maybe didn't necessarily want to knock out Incineroar there, because getting this free swap into Sneasler for Nick, you now threaten Fake Out for knockout once again, but more importantly, Fake Out to guarantee your Talonflame can go for dual Wing Beat into the opposite slot and take a knockout. It's very likely that Nick does not take any damage on this turn, and the only Pokemon in the back for Nathaniel is that Floette, which if it swaps in on a dual Wing Beat, will take a good chunk of damage from it.
Yeah, I guess you could, because the other position that you have here is you could try to protect the Gyarados, but then Talonflame gets to keep the Gale Wings regardless because you're not taking damage.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the Floette that actually comes in. If the Fake Out goes that way, then you're just going to kind of, soften it up a little bit, but here's the problem. Gyarados does get the Protect. You're not dealing damage with the opposing Pokemon, so it's still a safe play here for Nick. Oh, it's actually Dire Claw for the switch in too. Perfect. Floette gets taken down to a sliver of HP, and we're not going to see the Poison Touch or actually the secondary effect of the Dire Claw activate, but that's still really good damage.
The added benefit of including the stat alignments on team sheets is that Nick knew his Sneasler would be faster. You don't need to go for Fake Out when you know you can get that Dire Claw off first. Dire Claw would have been more than enough for KO into Nathaniel's Sneasler, and you have the dual Wing Beat with priority to cover for that Gyarados. Really, really heads up play by Nick there, knowing that Fake Out was just not as optimal play as when you can go straight for that Dire Claw to cover the switch.
Floette is going to protect itself, but the Talonflame finally hits the target. Dual Wing Beat connects onto the Gyarados, and that's going to be another Pokemon down. A 2v2 for the final game in this top 16 for the Indianapolis Regional Championships. Who's going to move forward? It feels like we are just 2 KOs away for Nick to make it.
Really well played endgame by Nick here in Game 3, navigating what was an early deficit in Pokemon and an early, what appeared to be kind of a back foot in this match. He lost his Mega Floette pretty early and had to rely on his remaining Pokemon, but very smart targeting with those attacks, smart move selection, going for that Dire Claw to catch the Floette, and now after what is presumably going to be a double Protect to get past this Fake Out from Sneasler, should have 2 Pokemon faster than Nathaniel's 2, ready to take those final knockouts.
Going to see the Protect just because you know that Fake Out is still on the table for the Sneasler that just switched in. So you don't want to lose your Gale Wings, and you also don't want your own Sneasler to get knocked out in the process by something like the Draining Kiss. HP would be one way that you can get this Floette back into the game. But now it is back in Nick's court. You can just go for a dual Wing Beat here into the Sneasler, a quick Dire Claw and a Floette, and secure the 2 knockouts you need to move into the top 8.
There might be a world where Nick plays it a little bit safer, like potentially you're not relying on dual Wing Beat to take a knockout, but it does have a 10% chance to miss, and Dire Claw should be more than enough for knockouts into either slot. Nathaniel does opt to protect that Floette, is potentially trying to go for some Dire Claw shenanigans with his own Sneasler here.
Yeah, well, Talonflame moves first, and then the opposing Sneasler does use the Dire Claw, and so, well, we switched the targets, but the same kind of concept here. That's going to be the handshake, probably the forfeit coming through here for Nathaniel, and Nick Navarre moves 1 set closer to